The Sandlot, The Last Supper, and Apple computers are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is April 1st, 2022. It is the 274th day of the year. We got 91 days left in 2022. April Fools, just kidding. Reverse that. That's her. It is the 91st day of the year. We got 274 days left in 2022. It is the 13th Friday in the 14th week and the 13th day of spring. If today's your birthday, we got some new birthstones. Your birthstone is a diamond or a crystal. I guess diamond if you got money, crystal if you don't. Today is obviously April Fool's Day, but it is also National 1 Cent Day. What does Benjamin Franklin, the phrase mind your business, April 1st, and National 1 Cent Day all have in common? The answer is the penny, which we recognize on National 1 Cent Day. The United States first issued the 1 cent coin, and it was produced at a private mint in 1787. Benjamin Franklin actually designed the first penny, 1 cent I should say. On one side it said, mind your business. On the other side it said, we are one. The coin was made of 100% copper and was much larger than today's penny. All right, let's see what else happened on April 1st. 33. Yeah, we're going way back on this one. According to historians, Jesus Christ's Last Supper was held on April 1st. I got into this one and started reading a little bit, and a lot of people said that there's no way anyone would know this. That's just, they're guessing. They're grabbing a random date and calling it the Last Supper Day. So I don't know. But anyway, some historians think it was on April 1st. 1789 in New York City, the United States House of Representatives achieves the first quorum and elects Frederick Muhlenberg of Pennsylvania as its first speaker. 1924, Adolf Hitler is sentenced to 5 years in prison for his participation in the Beer Hall Putsch. The Beer Hall Putsch was basically an attempt by Hitler and his Nazis to overthrow the German government at the time. He wasn't the chancellor yet. He was not in charge. He was just kind of a unknown political figure. Nobody knew much about his Nazis and all that at the time. But it was an attempt to overthrow the government. When it fell apart and Hitler and all his men were arrested, they ran into some really sympathetic nationalist judges that gave them very, very low sentences in decent prisons by all accounts. These prisons let him get whatever books he want, do whatever reading. He basically gave himself an education in this time that he spent in prison, and the prison also allowed people to have visitors every single day. This is where he wrote his book, Mein Kampf. One thing leads to another. The United States drops 2 atomic bombs on Japan, and Hitler decides to kill himself right before the Russians grab a hold of him. There's a few other things that went on during that time, but that's how it ended up. 1946, the 8.6 magnitude Aleutian Islands earthquake shakes the Aleutian Islands that creates a destructive tsunami that reaches the Hawaiian Islands, resulting in dozens of Hawaiian deaths, mostly in Hilo, Hawaii. 1948, the Faroe Islands gains autonomy from Denmark. I want to visit the Faroe Islands. I know there's a cruise going there. I think I gotta get on that cruise. I don't know how my wife will go for that. She doesn't like the cold weather too much. 1954, U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower authorizes the creation of the United States Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, Colorado. That's a beautiful campus, by the way. 1970, President Richard Nixon signs the Public Health Cigarette Smoking Act into law. This is one of the first major pieces of legislation that affected the tobacco industry. For the longest time, they had so many politicians in their back pocket that they really didn't have to worry about this stuff. And then came this. The Public Health Cigarette Smoking Act was a result of the 1964 report by Surgeon General Luther Terry. The report found that lung cancer, chronic bronchitis are causally related to cigarette smoking. Now, back in the 1950s and stuff, when my mom started smoking, which sadly she passed away of lung cancer in 1997, they sort of advertised that smoking had great health benefits and everyone should be out smoking, when the whole time they knew this was completely false. Maybe it did relax you a little bit or something like that, but the damage it was doing to your body wasn't even remotely a good trade-off. And this 1964 report was the first time that something like this was given to the public from an authoritative voice like the Surgeon General. The tobacco industry tried so hard for so many decades to hide all the things that were going wrong with your body when you smoke that it's kind of incredible that this actually got out. If you ever want to see a movie about the whole tobacco industry, it's years after the 1964 report. It actually happens, I believe, in the 1980s, but it's called The Insider. It's got Al Pacino, Russell Crowe. It came out in 1999. It's based on the true story of scientist Jeffrey Wigand, who worked for the tobacco industries. And he finally came out and said, look, this is bad for you. And he gave a whole bunch of documentation to CBS News reporter, producer guy, Lo Bergman, who followed the case. And it was damaging for the tobacco industry. They did everything they could, including, it's kind of in a way, they attempted to basically take over CBS to stop this report. If you watch the movie, you'll understand it. They had some kind of merger going on, but if this report went through, the merger wouldn't happen, and all these executives at CBS and 60 Minutes wouldn't get these giant bonuses. So they tried to kill the story. They tried to, scare Jeffrey Wigand and threaten him with all kinds of stuff, and a guy put a bullet in his mailbox. They did anything and everything they could think of besides killing someone to stop this report from coming out. That is probably one of the most eye-opening movies you'll ever see. If you ever get a chance, The Insider with Al Pacino, Russell Crowe. The big thing of it was they had all these tobacco executives in front of Congress, and Jeffrey Wigand's information that he gave up proved that they were lying to Congress. They had reports since the 1950s that showed that tobacco was, causing all kinds of lung cancers, emphysema, bronchitis, everything else, but they got in front of Congress and said there's no proof of that whatsoever. Their own scientists figured out it was. 1977, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak found Apple Computers Incorporated. 2001, same-sex marriages become legal in the Netherlands. This is the first contemporary country to allow it. Movies released on April 1st, 1993, The Sandlot. Such a good movie. It's a great kids movie. It's good for everyone. It's a nice family film you could watch and just enjoy. It's set in 1962, and the film follows a boy, a young kid who's new to a neighborhood, and he plays baseball with a group of ragtag kids. It is now considered a cult film. Here's an interesting fact about it. Two real brothers, Pablo Vittar and Mike Vittar, whatever, play younger and older versions of the character Benny in the movie. It's got Dennis Leary, James Earl Jones. Great for the whole family. Born on April 1st, 1932, Debbie Reynolds, actress and singer best known for starring as Kathy Selden in the 1952 classic Singing in the Rain. Her other major films include It Started with a Kiss, The Mating Game, Kiki's Delivery Service. She also starred in Halloween Town. We've talked about this before, but we talked about it during her death. Like I said in that one, in case you guys forgot or you didn't see that movie, sadly, she only died a day or two after her daughter, Carrie Fisher, died. Died on April 1st, 2018, we lost Stephen Bochco. He is the creator of NYPD Blues, LA Law, Hill Street Blues. He earned 10 Emmy Awards for Outstanding Drama Series and Outstanding Writing in a Drama Series. He studied playwriting and theater at the Carnegie Institute of Technology. Bochco was diagnosed with leukemia in 2014, requiring a bone marrow transplant later that year. He died from the disease at his home on April 1st, 2018. He was only 74 years old. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a productive day, be nice to each other.